Welcome to All In for Estacada Schools. Joined by School Superintendent Ryan Carpenter, we'll be taking an in-depth look into the work, the data, the wins, and the fun that's happening every day in the Estacada School District.
Happy Monday, and thank you so much again for joining us as we go all in for Estacada Schools. Today, I'm excited to dive into some details on our back-to-school safety protocols. We're asking Mike Waer, our Executive Director of Operations, to join us again so that he can share with you all of the tremendous work that our custodians, cooks, transportation, bus drivers, maintenance, and grounds crew have been working really around the clock all summer to prepare for our employees to return and our students to come back on campus so that we can dive deep into learning this year. I'm so excited about it. Let's get started.
Besides serving in your current position, what is one of the most memorable jobs you've ever had?
Well, I've had a great opportunity to have a lot of jobs throughout my lifetime. I think it's important to do and experience different things in different sectors. So yes, I've been a professional educator for a little over 14 years now, but my first job in high school started at Kentucky Fried Chicken on 181st and Stark, where I ran the drive-thru and learned a lot in that neck of the Gresham Woods. But my favorite job that I ever did was when I was in college. I worked at a rock crusher quarry, and I got to drive a gigantic dump truck. The truck's tires were a size and a half bigger than my entire body, and so I had to climb the ladder to get up there, and it just felt awesome all summer long to dump the rocks into the truck, drive it up on this big, gigantic hill, and provide that rock for the transportation department. So of my best memory driving a big dump truck was there. I wish that the Estacada School District had a dump truck that I could drive around because it really does make you feel cool. That's been my most memorable job, aside from all of the hundreds, if not thousands of kids that I've had the opportunity to work with in my lifetime. So that's it.
Hot Topics.
So as I said before, we have Mike Waer, our Executive Director of Operations, here with me to talk a little bit about our summer work and dive deep into how we have prepared over this off-season to get ready for your child and our employees. Mike, thank you so much for joining us again today. I got to ask you first and foremost, because this is your fourth year, I think, third year, or second year. It's like we've known each other forever. Last year counts for 3 years. But aside from working for the Estacada School District, which I know has been your most memorable job, what else have you done that's interesting?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. As you know, I grew up in Alaska and had some really interesting jobs up there. And two of them, really, I did commercial fishing for a summer when I was in high school. And then also actually was a dog musher. So that was interesting, riding 10, 12 dogs in the Arctic, if you will, in Alaska. It was very memorable and actually really exciting, pretty powerful stuff. So.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk in the next 20 minutes about dog mushing because that sounds awesome to me. So I would assume that you were mushing in the snow.
Yes, mushing in the snow, and they have their different languages. So G and Ha's left and right. So in the snow in the middle of the winter, running the dogs so the person who had them could race them. So,
okay, so you were training them to be racing mushers. You weren't delivering medicine.
Not delivering medicine.
Okay.
I did get stuck out there one night, and that wasn't too fun. So.
Oh, no fun at all. Well, very cool. That's something I think that's really unique and hopefully has helped us in many different ways as we've transformed our school district. So before we go deeper into some projects that we've done this summer, what does a typical summer work look like in the operations department? What goes into preparing our buildings and campuses for a new year? It's very logistics heavy. Tell our listeners a little bit more about what we do during the summertime.
Yeah, so as you know, operations has a few different departments, and we're going to kind of focus on facility and maintenance. But before I get to that, our summer food program is in play. We're transporting students to different programs through our transportation department, and our IT department's also getting ready for devices. But specifically in a typical year for facilities, it's routine cleaning, it's detailed cleaning as well. We do a lot of preventative maintenance. We're moving a lot of equipment based off what our principals and teachers need. We're doing lighting upgrades. We do some flooring waxing and sanding. And again, that's in a typical year. And the flooring takes a long time, actually. Whereas this year, we didn't have to do so much because we were closed down for a number of the year. And didn't have a lot of traffic on our floors. And it allowed us to do more work during the school year when we didn't have students in.
Yeah. Very good. You talked about preventative maintenance, and you and I have both seen a very large list of the things that we need to do for our very special yet aging buildings. Mm-hmm. We've got a big book of things that we just need to continue to chip away at. What are some extra projects that we've taken on this summer? And what does that look like for us as we try to chip away at that very list that our taxpayers and our community wants to see us to continue to upgrade, short of passing a bond?
Yeah, and it's twofold. We have capital projects and then we have internal projects, which I'd like to touch on a little bit. But specifically in our capital that chips away at that bond list or those deferred maintenance list, if you will. Right now, we're just finishing up one of the portable renovations. As you know, we talked about before. We renovated a portable that was been on site since I think early 90s, I believe, which saved the district a significant amount of money, whereas about $20,000 that we put into it, it would have cost closer on the $100,000 if we bought a used one. And we just moved it over to Rivermill. So that has been a pretty significant project and a successful one. It's being installed at Rivermill, like I said, now. Another big project for us in the district is access control. We know safety is our priority. Access to our buildings and making sure that we have the right controls in place to prevent anybody just from walking in is important. And it eliminates a factor, which is the keys in our district. So we're excited about that. We're hoping our board approves that tonight at our board meeting. We're excited to get moving forward with that.
Awesome.
Some other things just real quick in the Capitol, we're doing some kitchen renovations, and this is going to be more towards safety, staff safety, and efficiencies. We're doing some floors at CRE, which is a significant safety issue. We have a lot of tiles splitting apart and carpet buckling up, creating safety issues and tripping hazards. We are investigating or looking into painting a portion of the high school and replacing some glass, which will be a nice upkeep and visual aspect to our high school. And then we're replacing the last set of bay doors at the high school gym, so we have glass that can see into the gym and better access control. On the internal side, which again saves us more money because our internal workforce, our facility maintenance and grounds custodial group can do this. We're doing some demolition of classrooms to address capacity issues at Rivermill. We've done a lot of Zoom room installations, even more so from the last year based off what our secondary principals have requested. We completed an ADA assessment in the springtime, and there's a nice little punch list that we had to address, and we're ticking away at that project list. And then, storage, a lot of moving of equipment and building storage.
ADA, portables, windows, storage, flooring. That's really a pretty awesome summer of some great accomplishments. And that's impressive, both for you and the team that you're working with to accomplish through that process. Tell us a little more, because not only are those impressive, and I've got to tell you, if you haven't been to the Estacada School District campus, our grounds look excellent, and we just continue to chip away to have our buildings represent that great source of pride that we want for the Estacada community, and we want our schools to look like. But these are also costly items. Can you tell our listeners a little little bit so that they can help share with others, how do we pay for things like this?
In a typical year, we'll talk about that, is it's these bigger projects or capital funds. And that's the fund account that the district puts money in as much as they can to address these larger purchases. Some of the internal projects are out of our operations or our maintenance fund account. But most recently, we've been awarded a number of different federal relief packages where ESSER funds are, and this is most of the portables, the access control, the kitchen renovation is coming out of ESSER 3, which really it focuses on making sure we have a safe environment. We're addressing capacity issues with the portable, safety with the access control, safety with kitchen renovation. So no straight out of pocket out of those for those projects because of the ESSER fund relief.
And that's really quite impressive. And I know our community hears a lot about some of these federal dollars that are coming our way. And I think it's important to point out that, this portable, which really it's going to be 2 portables when it's all said and done, is our effort to be future focused, to be able to handle the growth that's coming our way in the Estacada School District. And fortunately, we were financially strong enough internally that when we received these monies, we were be able to invest it into our future in terms of how that looks like. But it also allowed us at River Mill, a building that was already at capacity, to allow us to open up to all children, because we could successfully distance kids with face masks and support an already bursting out of the seams elementary school. And we were able to accomplish that without spending a dollar of general fund money. This was federal money that allowed us to support that. I think it's also important to know, like you were talking about, because I know a lot of our listeners say, well, what are capital funds? Capital funds is the bank account, we'll call it, where our school board intentionally sets money aside, much like you would in your own home renovation fund. You just, typically chip away and put some money in a savings account. So when it's time to redo your roof or time to redo the siding on your house, you have those funds available. This is what our school board is responsibly doing as well, as putting some money aside so that we can continue to make the improvements that we need to make to keep our schools safe, warm, and dry. This is also the place where we receive that construction excise tax. So what I mean by the construction excise tax is if you plan on doing any permitted remodeling in your home, it's, I believe, $1 per square foot is what you pay the city for your permit to do that remodel in your house. And at the end of the year, all of that money is collected, and that's what goes to schools as well. So I know sometimes when you're permitting, it's not always fun and or popular to pay those permits, but at least know that when we're talking about putting new carpet into the classrooms, when we're talking about adding efficient windows into classrooms and or making our schools more ADA accessible, it's your permit dollars that helped lead to that. And so we're trying to be fiscally responsible, all while investing in your school buildings. Great job, Mike. I really appreciate that. That's absolutely fantastic. So as we go into another year of working hard, really to keep our schools safe and open during this pandemic, which appears to never be ending, what are our custodial staff preparing to do to keep our schools safe and clean? We're bringing our employees back. We're bringing our students back. We know that families have concerns about HVAC and cleanliness and mask wearing protocols, all of the above. And we have a great plan. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you think you hit it there. The pandemic is not going away right now, and we were expecting that. And so we kept with the idea, led by our facilities coordinator, John Simpson, who's a great leader within our district, to just maintain what we did last year. The frequency of cleaning, the methods of cleaning that we did at the height of the pandemic is not changing, because we know that it's still very much within our community and within our environment. So, we purchased electrostatic foggers in the past, and we have purchased more. We continue using those devices or those for cleaning as well. Our custodians, our maintenance crew all help with cleaning throughout the day, as opposed to where in the past it may have been less frequent. The frequency is an important piece to what we do. We continually to stock up on PPE, so face coverings and hand sanitizers. We've made a significant amount of upgrades to our HVAC systems that allow us to monitor and have more of a better system to airflow coming in and the airflow going out of our classrooms. And so we're really excited to be able to continue doing that. We're fortunate to be able to do that financially as well, and going into the school year and making sure that safety is our priority.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And it really is quite impressive what your team has done in such a fast and agile way to meet the needs of our employees and to meet the needs of our kids, to ensure that they're receiving a great educational experience, all while being as safe as we can possibly be, following those protocols and our responsibilities inside of that. Just, very quickly, as I think about, how do we know if our safety protocols are making a difference? We were collecting voice throughout the pandemic last year. And one of the things that we were really most focused on was making sure that kids felt safe and welcome. And we were hoping to improve that score as the year went out. It's something I'm really proud of that was under the leadership of your team. And it was your team that executed this. Tell everyone a little bit about that improvement journey and the big win that we get to celebrate from just tremendous work.
Yeah, the journey's been about 2 years since I've started, right? When we started doing our continuous improvement, really heading forward into operations. And we started collecting student and staff voice, but really focus on our student voice, on if they felt like their school was clean and if they felt like their school was safe. And when we got the first initial data, it was at an average of a 3.38 out of a scale from 1 to 5. And so we knew that there was some growth needed and some efforts. And we were committed to making those efforts and trying to get that growth throughout the next couple years. In the fall of 2021, we scored a 3.80. So we saw some growth already into the minor efforts that we had, but also that was close. That was the height of the pandemic. Yeah. So we started seeing there. And then in the spring of 2021, when we were starting to have kids come back, we scored a 4.10. So our efforts were paying off, and we saw that. And a lot of it was increasing communication and simply showing pictures to our students and getting them the opportunity to see what we were doing in our buildings, whether it was the cleaning, the routine maintenance, repairs, some special projects, and seeing how we were making their school a better place, safe and clean for them for when they returned.
It really is quite impressive. And, again, if you're an All In for Estacada podcast listener, this is evidence of your school district collecting your child's voice and our students' voice and making specific and strategic and surgical adjustments to meet the needs so that we can continue to grow. As Mike Waer just shared, in the heart of the pandemic, when things were the most scariest and highest in anxiety, the Estacada School District continued to improve its overall score in My School is Safe and My School is Clean. And it's due tremendously to a lot of the great work of our employees as we collectively made a commitment to make the Estacada School District as safe and clean as possible. Mike, thank you so much for joining us in All In for Estacada Schools podcast today. If you're listening to Mike today, I think it's abundantly clear that he is a best-in-class employee. The school district is so lucky to have someone with Mike's talents leading our operations departments. And so great job, Mike. We've got a lot of hard work still ahead of us, but you have officially and successfully installed a school district that never rests. And I'm so proud, even when kids are gone and our employees, specifically classroom teachers, are resting and recuperating in the summertime, this school district never rests. We get ready for another great school year. Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's in Ryan's inbox?
This week, The superintendent's email inbox received 946 emails. I averaged 189 emails a day, and my response time this week was 44 hours. So almost 2 days, a little bit under 2 days. And I apologize for the slowness in my response time. I would say of those 946 emails I received last week, about 346 of them came as the governor made the mandates for masks. And I just greatly appreciate everyone taking the time and energy to share their personal opinion of the governor's decisions and the challenges that the Estacada School District is facing trying to execute the governor and the Department of Education's orders. I also need to let everybody know that of those 300 or so emails I'm referring to, it really was both sides of the story. And it's important to reflect that not the Estacada School District and or the Estacada community is not all in one direction. There is diverse opinions throughout this process. And so I would say 70% of the emails I received were angry at the governor's decision, demanding local choice and or advice for me to just outright refuse the face mask laws, which, by the way, we've talked in detail in the last few podcasts and other communications that it's not to the best interest of the Estacada School District to not comply with those laws. On the other side, I received a lot of communications with thanks. Thanks for following the governor's orders. They're so glad that their child gets to wear a face covering at school, that they were nervous prior to the school year about being around kids without face coverings. And so it's just important to remember as we share our opinions and as we share our thoughts that there's always the other side of the coin. And I'm so glad that I get to hear all corners of our school district and all different perspectives and opinions and assertions of what our community thinks is best for the Estacada School District. And I just want to let you know that the school board of directors and I are committed to listening to our citizens, and we're committed to listening to our parents. And we want so badly to build a school district that reflects its community, all while making our children extremely competitive for the post-education world. And so I just want to thank those who took the time to write me. The school board of directors last week made a determination of how they want to communicate to the state and the governor to reflect its community's beliefs and or opinions. But on the other end, right now, the Estacada School District is going to stay focused on welcoming back all students onto campus, wearing a face covering to get started in the school buildings themselves. And we're just excited to have kids back. We're excited to have employees back. And I hope soon I'll be able to tell you that the number one theme in my email inbox is how great of a start the Estacada School District is off to. And I look forward to that opportunity. That's the superintendent's inbox.
Fact
or fiction.
In this week's Fact or Fiction, we are addressing the following statement that we found on social media. I believe Facebook for this one, but social media nonetheless. So buckle up, and here is your social media Fact or Fiction statement of the day. Quote, "Our schools don't have any air conditioning and it's causing or could cause school days to be canceled and causing super hot students that are having to wear masks in this heat." Unquote. That statement is true. We do not have air conditioning in our buildings, and our schools do get extremely hot, particularly in the afternoons. We did cancel this summer 1 day of summer school, and we are having to regularly monitor our schools as we struggle with heat waves. It's also unfortunate that our schools are unable to function as a cooling center during heat waves for our community. We have looked many times at what it would take to install air conditioning in the past in all of our school buildings that contain children. That price tag, unfortunately, is $3 million. We have tried twice now to really beg our community to support a construction bond where air conditioning was the number one thing that we were putting into all of our schools. Unfortunately, at this time, your community is telling you and us that they are not ready to make that investment into their schools to have a climate-controlled educational facility. So in the meantime, our windows remain open in the evening so we can let that cold air in. We try to keep the natural light out during the day so that our schools can remain dark and cool. And in the afternoon, we just try to grind it out, which absolutely affects learning outcomes. So unfortunately, but fortunately, this social media statement is true. I hope the next time we ask, there will be more support to support our children's learning environments. Fact or fiction, and the cold, hard truth. Thank you so much. We have made it through another great episode of All In for Estacada Schools. It's just so hard to believe that we're really weeks away from opening our doors to children. I just want to remind everyone to remain patient. Things are still changing all over the place. Don't worry about the plans. Don't worry about things that may or may not be set in stone. Just know that your school district is building plans that are flexible, we are agile, and we are ready, prepared and ready to meet the needs of your child in whatever situation and circumstance we're in. We care deeply about that. We pride ourselves in it. We have an extremely talented employee workforce serving your kids in our community. You heard that in Mike Waer today. We are ready to serve. Quality service is what we're all about, and this is a great time to be raising your child inside the Estacada School District. Have a great week, and thanks so much for going all in with me.